Oh.
Slowly. Just didn't like that. We're on an adventure, driving as far east as our rusty, not so trusty van will allow. Join us, Lucy and Ben, on our journey around the hot springs, remote villages and undiscovered lands of Europe, Turkey and beyond. In this episode, we explore an abandoned Soviet airfield before heading deep into the wilderness, taking a 3-day off-road journey toward Georgia's most eastern point, along tracks recommended for 4-wheel drives only. Will our 20-year-old 2-wheel drive LDV conquer the wilderness, or will we have to retreat?
Spring is finally here, and does it feel good to be in some warm sunshine?
It's been a
finally
long winter, hasn't it?
The longest, coldest, harshest winter we've ever had travelling, but it's been amazing nonetheless. But now it is well and truly spring. The sun is shining, it's very early in the morning and it's warm. We are actually at this incredible fortress really high up on a hill, and for the past week we've been hiding away in the forests, and all but one day where we had the wood burner on, it was misty and foggy and raining. It was very cozy. It's been beautiful sunshine up there the rest of the time. The flowers are starting to come out the ground, the new buds are forming on the trees, and it's just really nice to see the changing season and some colour coming back into this beautiful country.
It's giving us a vision of what Georgia might look like in the summer, which I imagine is just very lush and green. And we've noticed that everywhere we go there are these supra tables outside. If you don't know what a supra is, we covered it in our last video, you should definitely check it out. But it's basically any kind of feast, a gathering in Georgia where friends and family and all sorts of guests get together and have a nice time, and they do it indoors as well as outdoors here. And I would love to see this in the summer, wouldn't you? Just come to life.
Totally, yeah. I think this country really does come to life in the summer. This fortress we're at is really interesting. We don't know anything about it. I don't think there's much written about it, but it's very, very old, and all around, scattered about, are these old tombs, these stone coffins here, and they've got carvings of people on the tops and lots of Georgian writing on the sides. This is a really spectacular place, and we've got probably one of the best views in this region of Georgia. In fact, we can probably see where we're going to be heading today.
Somewhere over there.
Way off in the distance over there, following that really nice road through the valley there.
Because we've made it our mission on this journey to get as far east as we possibly can with this van, and at the moment, because of geopolitical restrictions, this basically is as far east as we can get. In fact, we're going to be travelling into the most eastern corner of Georgia, which is north of Azerbaijan today, to see what's there, because there's this incredible national park. It looks like a really beautiful wild area, and we want to see just how far we can get out into nature this time.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we've loved the country so far, we have really struggled to find these magical remote locations that we love staying in so much. Apart from the woods we've just stayed in, that really was the first place we felt like we were truly alone. But this region of Georgia promises to be the most remote area in the whole country, and it looks spectacular.
Absolutely. It's been tricky travelling here in the winter because many places have been inaccessible to us in our van, and with the cold weather, and in fact even in summer, many of the more wild places of Georgia really are only accessible by 4x4. So although there's so much beautiful wilderness here, it's quite hard to actually get out into it, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So with that said, I think we're going to hit the road and see where the rest of this journey on this episode takes us. So we've just left the last town on the map. We've now got another hour and a half to drive through through what looks to be the most amazing scenery into the far eastern corner of Georgia.
The van doesn't seem to be too happy when starting. We have no idea what issue's going to come to light, but I'm sensing an impending breakdown.
So when we're now starting it, it's really struggling, and I actually cut out a couple of times earlier after starting, completely cut out straight away. We are going now into possibly the most remote part of the country. There's almost certainly going to be no mechanics and no garages. What on earth are we doing?
And so we went, in spite of the looming engine problems, toward the wilderness.
So the plan today was to drive to the furthest east point of this country, across this vast plain in the eastern point of Georgia. It's beautiful here, but something has just caught the corner of our eye and we decided we had to go and investigate it. So we're now driving along this awful dilapidated road that appears to have been left in ruin since the Soviet era. And just you wait until you see what is at the end of this. It is quite unbelievable.
See it now.
So in case you can't already tell what's behind us, this is actually a huge hangar for an aircraft. We are on an abandoned Soviet airfield. This is incredible. We had no idea this place existed until we began to drive past it. It's massive, probably maybe 3 or 4 kilometers squared. Absolutely huge. So we're going to spend a little while investigating, exploring, and maybe there might even be some old aircrafts here, who knows. We're going to go and find out.
So we're currently inside the belly of an airplane, and that's not something you get to do every day, is it? There's this awesome, well, half a fighter jet just sat here on the runway, and this actually was an airbase during the Russian-Afghan War, I believe. And it was the base for many fighter jets that were sent off to fight in the war. And the name of this airfield is Big Shiraki, which just means Big Shiraki, which I think is a pretty cool name for an airfield.
It's pretty apt considering it's on a massive plane called Shiraki. Yeah, very good.
It's beautiful. I mean, there's endless plains on all sides of us, and then behind us there's these huge snowy mountains rising out at the distance. I mean, it's an absolutely incredible place.
And as you can tell, it's just a little tiny bit windy here. The drone is struggling so much, so I don't know if we're going to be able to get it up in the air yet. But hopefully we can show you this place from above, because it's incredible. The vastness of this place is overwhelming. Yeah, we're going to try. Wish us luck.
We're going to try and camp somewhere as well that's not too windy. That'd be fun. Big Shiraki was built in the 1950s and used as an airbase during the Soviet-Afghan War. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, the airfield was given to Georgia, and all of the stored fighter planes were relocated, bar one. The airfield was then abandoned, left to the shepherds and local farmers. Obviously, while we were here, we had to give the airstrip a go.
So last night we decided we would stay at this airfield because there's actually so much to see here, and we had in mind that we would wake up and there'd be a beautiful view across the plateau and into the mountains. Unfortunately, as you can see, the weather has changed slightly overnight and the ground is now very, very saturated. But it's lucky we stayed here last night because we actually did some research about this beautiful national park that we were planning to visit, and we discovered that you actually need permission to go. So we need to go back to the visitor centre, which is about 20 kilometres in the other direction. We need to go and seek permission from the governing body, and that could take up to 2 days to get the permission. We need to scan our passports, give them our vehicle details, and they need to check that the vehicle isn't too big to cause damage to any of the wildlife there. So it's a really good decision that we stayed here at this field last night, because we would have got into quite a lot of trouble, but not just logistical trouble, also physical trouble, because it's rained overnight and this national park basically deteriorates so badly. Everyone online recommends that you use a 4x4, and that's when it's dry. So when it's raining, people categorically recommend you do not visit this national park. The roads are simply too gnarly. So we made a good choice last night to stay here. It's a little bit of a disappointing blow, but we're going to go back now to the visitor centre. We're going to try and seek permission, and then hopefully in a couple of days' time we can come back to this area and explore the far east of this country.
As the clouds thickened, we left the airfield and spent the next 2 days arranging our documents and waiting for the ground to dry out.
Well, first step complete. We've managed to get all of our documents sorted at the visitor centre. So we've now got to take these documents to the border police and get our permits from them.
Yeah.
And then we're good to go.
It's really exciting. The lady in there told us that the ground should be just about dry by now, so we did really well to wait for this couple of days, let all the rain pass. She did say mostly dry, and it is still recommended to have a 4x4 there, so we have no idea how far we're going to be able to get into this park, but she's told us that we might be able to see wildlife like gazelles, and there's bears there, and there's even a rare species of leopard, although we're probably not going to see that, but there's so much wildlife there and so much potential.
She kind of likened it to the savannas of Africa, actually. She said it's like a completely different climate. This feels like we're going on a real safari adventure now.
She called one of the areas the Badlands, and I was like, oh, that sounds good.
We need to crack on because we've got a couple of hour drive just to get there across dirt roads, and then there's one final outpost, and then we are good to go. So it's a long drive today. We're looking at about maybe 6 hours to get to the rangers camp where we can stay for the night. They're quite strict on their rules there, so we don't want to upset them. We want to do the right thing and only stay in the designated places. So we've got a long drive ahead. Let's go to the border police and we'll go from there.
Hey! So excited!
Okay,
It's official.
we've got our pass.
Yeah! We paid our 45 lari fee for 3 nights in the park, so that's 5 lari per person, plus the vehicle, plus each night of camping, which only works out at about 15 quid, so it's really not
Just
bad.
a bargain, isn't it, you know?
Here we go.
Oh, let's do it.
You excited?
Yeah, very.
I'm so excited.
Here comes the real adventure.
This is all we're going to be seeing for the next few days. As we left the tarmac behind us, we began our journey towards Vashlovani National Park, Georgia's wild eastern corner.
half an hour and we're about halfway there. It said the track was going to take about an hour, so we are on time, I guess. It's mad, isn't it? Because it's just never ending. The scenery doesn't really change. And it's just like a dead straight road, bumpy. Nothing changes around you. The fields are the same fields as they were half an hour ago. The scale of this place is insane. Outposts. After this, we're all alone. Just keeps going. This is crazy.
Keeps going.
What?
Endless dirt tracks here. It's heaven. Ah!
Whoa. That's testing the suspension a bit at the front there.
Testing the brakes and all.
Wow. Yeah, she's getting a bit hairier now.
Yeah, a little bit more wild. Okay, she's done it. I just don't know if we can get back up it again.
It's alright, it's sort of going up and over these hills, but when you get to the bottom of each hill, it's very trying. Big puddles, lots of mud, and as you just saw, they can be quite steep. But we're pushing on.
Vashlovani National Park is the oldest and most eastern national park in Georgia, established in 1923 to protect its unique ecosystem, a vast swathe of desert, steppes, canyons and badlands that are home to wolves, lynx, vultures, gazelle and even leopards. The park encompasses hundreds of kilometres of off-road tracks used only by 4x4s and shepherds. But we'd made it our mission to complete a loop of the park against all odds in our two-wheel drive van.
Here are just like so crumbly, almost made out of sand and mud, aren't they?
They look like sandstone.
Maybe 100 metres high?
And higher in places. They're just...
It's quite a dominating landscape we're driving through, and I mean, this is just unlike anywhere we've driven in Georgia so far.
Absolutely.
Even on this journey, I think, you know, this is very unique.
It's starting to feel very desert-like, isn't it? Because it's pretty hot here. Everything's quite dry. Luckily for us, because otherwise I don't know how we would be driving here.
I mean, just 2 hours ago we were driving through the greenest landscape, and now we're in a really dry and brown crumbly canyon. It's just like a completely different area to what we've just seen, just a couple of hours apart from each other. The microclimates of this country are very interesting indeed.
So we were told at the tourism centre that somewhere along our route we'd be able to see the remnants of what was an old sea before it dried up, and I think we found it. You can see in the cliffs here, they're embedded lots of little tiny shells. And here, it's incredible. It must be, what, millions of years old?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, about a million years. Yeah. I haven't got a clue, mate.
We'll get that in a voiceover. The canyons and badlands of Vashlovani were formed around 2 million years ago, when the region was once a seabed deep underwater, as evidenced by the many shells embedded in the canyon walls. The remains of prehistoric beasts, such as mammoths, are also embedded in the sediment here. A few hours later, we emerged from Bear Canyon and spilled out onto the vast plains of the Eldari Lowlands. Here, the Tush and Kist shepherds have been using the warm steppes as their winter pastures for centuries. Living a semi-nomadic existence, migrating their herds on foot from the highlands of Tusheti in the Caucasus every autumn and returning every spring.
So there's now very little separating us from Azerbaijan, and in fact, right in the distance over there is a tiny little village, and that is in Azerbaijan. And there's really nothing separating these two countries other than a very narrow river. There's no geographical differences, you know, mountains or a huge deep river or sea or an ocean or anything. It's just a tiny narrow river over there that separates these two countries, and it's absolutely beautiful to see. Are they dogs?
No.
They're baby goats.
Baby
Look,
goats.
kids.
Oh.
There's loads of them.
Oh my god, they're all jumping around.
Oh, are they sheep? They're sheep.
Oh,
Oh,
yay. Oh my god, look at them all.
oh, so sweet.
Oh, so cute, look at them all. Oh. I want to touch them all.
Bloody hell.
Oh, no way around that, is there?
Oh my goodness.
It's a bit deep.
Is it dry?
Yeah.
Thankfully it's dry. Oh my word.
Oh. Okay, just did it. How much further to go?
I don't know. About 12 kilometres, I think.
12.
I think we're going to make it just before sunset, and I mean, the colours now are just absolutely phenomenal, aren't they?
Mind blowing. So
So
is this track.
what? I can't get over that.
Yeah, you can.
Shall I go over that bit there?
Yeah. Yeah, that's way better.
Again, just so grateful that it's dry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, sugar. That was.
oh my goodness.
What happened?
I'm barely moving. What's going on?
Wow.
Look at that. There's no chance we're going to get over that, is there?
No way.
This place has got a real feel of like the Wild West almost, you know. You've got these vast plains and all these horses scattered around and shepherds, and then these wooden shacks that people live in, or the shepherd huts, and then they're set against this backdrop of just amazing brown sandy mountains in the distance. It really feels like a world away from anywhere we've seen in this country, and had we not come here ourselves to see this, I wouldn't have believed the photos were from Georgia. It's just like nothing we've seen.
So much wilderness, so much empty space. It's absolutely amazing. I feel like you're really out in the wild here, and
Totally.
if something goes wrong, you're really on your own out here.
It is looking like it's going to be breathtaking sunset tonight. And and we are in the perfect place for it.
The best place.
I just feel so lucky to have been able to make it here.
Me too.
And that the weather's good. And that we persevered, because I was almost going to give up when I realised we had to get permits and all that sort of stuff, but honestly, it's so worth doing.
And when we were told that we had to have a 4x4 to come here, we were like, well, we're going to give it a go, not expecting to really get very far, and now just look at this.
We've probably driven about 40 kilometres today into this park, and we're not even halfway through it. That just shows the scale of this place. It's like a mini country of its own, you know, and it's just wilderness. Just nothing but wilderness. Lost for words. Oh.
Slowly. Just didn't like that.
Oh. And as you can see, this road is putting our van through its paces.
Definitely going to be some things loose under there by the end of this. Big guns.
Is this the right way? Thankfully the border guards were friendlier than the dogs. At first I think he was saying you're going to have problems coming this way because it rained yesterday. I don't know, I'm just guessing. All I heard was yesterday, and it looked like he was making a bit of a problem about going this way, but so I've just noticed in 4 kilometers time there is a ford that we have to cross, and the sun has just gone down behind the mountain. In a minute it's going to get dark, and we've got about 10 kilometers until we reach our base for the night. So one of the rules about staying in this park is you have to stay at the rangers' camps, which is fine for us. We really don't mind. I mean, we haven't seen a single soul out here all day apart from shepherds, so I think it's going to be a pretty quiet place to stay for the night. That's if we can get there. It's almost completely dark now, but the moon is just coming up over the dunes there, and this is just brilliant. It feels like we're actually on a safari, doesn't it?
It does. We're so lucky to have a full moon while we're here as well, which means we'll be able to see just as much at night as we would during the day, maybe even some animals. You never know.
Absolutely. We've seen no one here all day apart from shepherds and the border guards just then. There's no one else out exploring this park. It does honestly feel like now we are probably the only people in this area.
And that's very exciting.
Whole park to ourselves. It's such an amazing feeling. So we made it to the ranger's hut last night. It was pitch black when we arrived, and we went to ask them if it was okay to camp here, and actually they didn't seem to care, did they? They kind of just said, yeah, just go and park wherever you like. What are you doing? So we just came and parked here in the middle of this huge field. In the distance we've got the mountains pretty much surrounding us on all sides, actually. All around as far as the eye can see, and today we're going to be heading in that direction. So we've got a map here. I'll just show you this. This is the map that the lovely lady at the visitor centre marked out for us yesterday. So she said it's absolutely imperative that you have my maps downloaded, and we can see why now, because we've had no signal, no internet connection whatsoever since we joined this park yesterday. So the whole day yesterday we were relying on this offline map. So we basically started up here. This is the airfield that we stayed at the other day, and then this is the beginning of the route around the park, right? So we started at this point, we went all the way around here, down here, followed this line across this huge open plain, and now we've arrived at this ranger's hut. So today it looks like we've got to cross a river down here somewhere, and then we're going to be heading along this route here. And then today we're hoping to arrive at this little curve on the river between Azerbaijan and Georgia. Now, she's warned us in no uncertain terms that this road gets a lot worse today from here on, and we might not be able to make it that far. It's overcast today. There was no rain forecast, but hopefully it stays that way. We've got no way of telling now because we can't access a map. So we're just going to have to hope and pray that it still stays dry. And we're going to try and get to this river because she said that it's one of the most beautiful areas of the park. And we can see all sorts of nature down there. But if we can't, we're just going to make up our own route and see where the day takes us. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Couldn't think of a better place to have coffee.
I can't either. That is absolutely breathtaking. Oh my gosh.
I just don't think I've ever seen or felt freedom quite like this.
No.
We've not seen anyone in days, like tourists or people out for hiking adventures or anything, just shepherds and only a few. But now looking across that landscape, there's just nothing. Absolutely barren, nothing, wilderness.
I can't think of a better end to our time in Georgia, and it's like driving this clunky old van around this park and you just sort of know that if something goes wrong, no one's coming. It could be days until help arrives. There's no phone signal. Like, you're really out here, but this is exactly what we love so much, isn't it? We always just crave these chances to get right out into the wild, to just be completely at one with nature and just enjoy the silence. There's no noise pollution, no light pollution. It's just complete stillness, nature.
You know, looking at the road ahead over there, I think we might have actually come as far as we can through this park. It's looking like it's going to get a little bit rougher. A lot rougher, actually.
It's already pretty rough.
It's already pretty rough. I don't want to tempt fate.
No. I mean, we're only about 6 kilometres from the Azerbaijan border and the far most eastern point of Georgia that you can actually drive through. So I think it's a fitting place to end this part of the journey, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
It was our mission on this journey to travel as far east as we can in that van, which is a miracle in itself, to be honest. It was falling apart just a few years ago. It's still falling apart now. Bits of it keep falling off on the road. But the fact that we've even made it this far is absolutely astounding. And we would honestly keep travelling further east in this van if it were geographically possible. But unfortunately, Azerbaijan, to the south and the east of us, has closed its land borders. They've been closed for over 3 years now due to COVID, apparently. There's probably other reasons. Which blocks off our access to the Caspian Sea. And the Caspian Sea is where you take the ferry to Kazakhstan from in order to continue journeying that way. We can't go north into Russia because of the current situation and also a lack of visas. You have to apply for a visa from the embassy in London, which we're pretty far away from right now. And we can't cross back through the Black Sea at the moment either. So really, this is as far as we can get.
The other option, of course, would have been to head sort of southwest towards Iran and then carry on through Iran. But as British citizens, it's very, very difficult for us to travel there, especially freely. And with a British registered vehicle, it's impossible. So this really is as far east as we can go on this journey, and it's not for lack of wanting.
Absolutely, but we definitely will be returning to this area of the world very soon. We're going to be keeping an eye on all the different political situations and the border situations, and we are going to be travelling much, much further east than this. So this, in time to come, will feel like it's pretty far west. But for us right now, this is such a huge achievement in our van.
It is.
I just can't believe we're here.
It's easy to forget as well. This was never planned. You know, we were filming with the company, the Japanese TV company in Turkey, and we had no plans to come this far east. But we just thought, what the hell? We're already in Turkey. Why don't we just keep pushing it and seeing how far we go? So we never expected to make it this far in the first place. And the fact that we have has really bolstered our confidence, I suppose, yeah, not only in this vehicle, but also in ourselves, just being able to plan stuff kind of on the whim and just go with it, you know, and just push and push and push.
And our curiosity as well, because this is a region of the world that we've always wanted to visit, but really knew very little about. And now we're here. I feel like I just have this absolute fascination for the Caucasus. I feel like there is so much of Georgia to see. Each individual region has such a different character, a different history and music and food, and we've only really done about half or a quarter of this country. And then there's Armenia and Azerbaijan and Russia that are all within the Caucasus as well, which I just cannot wait to explore more of.
There's so much more to see. So much more to see.
So much of the world. Join us next time on our journey as we leave Georgia behind and set our sights on Armenia.
Just caught something out of the corner of our eye. Something just caught us in the corner. What? How do you say that thing? Yeah, I'm looking at it.
What is it?
It's just an eagle, right? How do I say that?
Caught our eye, or saw in the corner of our eye. You
Caught
can't
our
merge
eye.
the two.
Okay.
What do you mean it's just an eagle? Caught our eye.
Okay. And something just caught us in the corner of our eye. Done it again. Why can't I say that?
Spotted something in the corner.
Ah!
It caused a bit of a stir with the locals. Or should I just see like flat to the floor like, go!
For behind the scenes videos and to see the reality of making a TV programme and travelogue series, join us over on Patreon.